600 category here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya is going to be, sorry, the Moto2 is going to be underway. The circuit built in 1991, which coincided with the Barcelona hosting the Olympic Games in 1992. 4.7 kilometers is the circuit, that's just under 3 miles. 14 turns around this beautiful circuit. 8 to the right, 6 to the left. And a circuit that has played host to plenty of historic action in motorsports, hosted Formula One, MotoGP, and many other well-established motorsport categories. But this weekend, it is hosting the FIM JuniorGP World Championships. Up first for us, it's going to be the Moto2 European Championship, which is the penultimate race of the day, with Stock 6 coming a little bit later on. This category, unfortunately, championship leader is going to be out of this one. Senna Agius came into the weekend with a hefty lead and won't be riding this weekend after high-siding out of the first corner during FP1. He only managed 2 laps, but unfortunately, despite strong pace on the Thursday leading up, had an injury to his hand and won't be racing this weekend. Xavi Cardelus won the first race, and that was his first victory. And this is how it happened. Cardelus started from pole position, but he got swallowed up into turn 1. It was a good start from Nico Antonelli, but it was Alberto Surra that was leading heading into the first corner, and the number 31 of Roberto Garcia that took the whole shot. Garcia was trying to defend from Surra, but Surra quickly took the lead down into turn 10 on the Boscoscuro machine. The number 67 then was pushed wide by Garcia, and the battle continued between those two pretty much all race long. This move came from Xavi Cardelus, where he did 2 in 1 down into the first corner. A beautiful move from the Andorran, and then from then on, he was almost untouchable. Unai Oradre then had flashes of pace, an incredible pace on the number 10 machine, and caught up to the leading group and got himself well within the mix, making himself well known and put himself into P2 halfway through the race. The battle raged on as the laps ticked away. Roberto Garcia made this harsh move on the number 10 Unai Oradre down into turn 1. Oradre bit back though and sat up the number 31, who picked up his first podium last time out in Portimao. Surra though was looking strong. Unfortunately, Nico Antonelli from the front row crashed out, and then this left the number 18 and the number 10 to battle it out. Tapia was another one that went down, and he ended his grace in the gravel trap. Cardelus and Oradre pulled away from Surra and Garcia. Oradre tried to make this move on the final lap, but Cardelus held it tight and stuck it back up the inside of the number 10 to take victory. He held strong for the rest of the lap, did an incredible defensive race, and unfortunately there was no way through for Oradre. But Cardelus crossed the line to take his first victory in the European Moto2 Championship and massively clinging the gap onto Senna Agius, who was out of this weekend's contention. Delight in the promo racing squad as they took victory ahead of Oradre, who took his first podium in Moto2. And Alberto Surra picking up another podium on his 2023 Moto2 European Championship campaign. Will Xavi Cardelus be able to do it again here in race 2? He's going to have the likes of Oradre, possibly Antonelli, Garcia and Alberto Surra all in the mix, trying to get themselves ahead of Xavi Cardelus. If he wins this one, there'll be 11 points between him and Senna Agius, who went into this race with a 61-point lead, but now currently sat sidelined watching from the pit garage after that crash he had in FP1. So he needed 75-point lead. He could very well have won it here this weekend, but it's not going to be. He will be back out at Aragon in October. Here's your man on pole though, qualified on pole by half a second. Won race 1. Will he be able to take victory in race 2? He's had a credible run of form, 3rd, 2nd and 1st in the last 3 races. And he's going to be looking to pick up another 25 points and capitalise on the injured Senna Aegis. Myself, Tristan Finocchiaro, and Chris Jordan will be bringing you through all the action. Looking forward to this one, Chris.
Yeah, should be another cracker. If it's anything like race one, a real thriller, and Cardelus's getting that breakthrough win. Long awaited in this class, but finally he managed to get that breakthrough win, the Andorran rider. And what a performance it was. He had pressure coming all over the back of his rear tyre from Unai Oradre, but he held on, held his nerve. And chatting to him after the race, he was just only disappointed not to do it with Senna Aegis on track. So if he gets the win here, he's ready to take on Aegis in Aragon next time out. Nico Antonelli then, well, the less said about his race one, I think the better. Very, very disappointing. Second on the grid, but very quickly sunk to 9th and 10th as the laps clocked off. And as you can see there, didn't even record the finish as he crashed out of the event.
Antonelli's going to have to put that to the back of his mind now and focus on race 2. He's starting from the front row. In second place, he's got that inside line down into turn 1, so he'll have to, like we say, put that dreadful first race to the back of his mind. Unai Oradre, though, had an incredible first race, picked up his first podium in the championship and was looking incredibly racing on the number 10 machine. He starts from 3rd place on the outside of the front row. There we go, first time he'd finished inside the top 7, and he picked up 2nd place and was very, very close to victory, and he's going to be looking to try and go one better in this one and take 25 points. You can see the confidence in his eyes. You could see he's eyeing it up. But he'll have to try and get the better of Cardelus. Cardelus pretty much had it covered, I think it was safe to say, in race 1.
Yeah, it wasn't easy for him though, mind.
Not at all.
Oradre, he'll take a lot of confidence from that performance. He finally turned that 1 lap pace and translated it into race pace. So he'll be hoping for more of the same. Alberto Sura then back on the podium in race 1. He's been very impressive over the last couple of weeks. You can see there, picked up a P2 in the Algarve, second only to Super Senna Aegis that day, and even challenged the Australian for the victory before he had to serve a long lap penalty, which dropped him back into 5th, but then took 2nd place overall. This morning he got the better of Roberto Garcia then for that final podium place. And this is Garcia then, breakthrough podium in the Algarve, constantly running with the top 5, and this morning running with the top 5 again. But you can see just missed out on that podium place. P4's joint 2nd best performance of the year. Just missed out to Alberto Sura, so he'll have a little bit of revenge on his mind.
Absolutely. He picked up, like we say, his first podium back in Portimao and was looking pretty strong for it in race 1, but both him and Sura just dropped off in terms of pace towards the end of the race, so they'll be hoping they can stay on to the likes of Oradre and Cardelus during this one. Cardelus will be looking for a better start as well in this one, as he dropped back through the pack in the first one. But yeah, Roberto Garcia from 5th place on the grid will be looking menacing. Number 55 then, Alex Toledo. He rounds out the 2nd row of the grid in 6th position on that number 55 Calex machine. The rider from Tarragona, local track for him. Lives about 100 kilometers south of here. His only podium here in the category was here in 2022, where he started from the front row. So definitely very much a home hunting ground for the Catalan. Best result this year has been 6th place, which was back at round 1 at Estoril. So he's going to be looking to try and better that.
Yeah, we were talking earlier pre-race 1 that we thought he may have had the pace to go with the top guys. That didn't really happen for him, so maybe he'll be out for a bit of vindication race 2. But it's all about Xavi Cardelus, the number 18. Keep your eyes on him. He is the one to beat this weekend. Clearly faster than everybody in qualifying. He had half a second in his back pocket, and he did very well to hold on for a maiden breakthrough win. Let's see what he can do in race 2.
Keep an eye on Unai Oradre then. He'll be starting, as you can see, from 3rd. Cardelus on pole, as you can see. Antonelli, he's going to be looking for a much better race from the front row. No excuses from 2nd place on the grid. Row 2 goes to Sora, Garcia and Toledo, with row 3 being Bershikursky, Harrison Voigt and Tapia.
On the next row back, Yeray Ruiz with the number 72 is joined by Rato and Monjardo. Sam Wilford, Rio and Volpi are on the 5th row. Maxwell Toth, Montero and Kyle Paz completing row 6. And then at the back of the grid, It's Czech rider Rehecek, French rider Aubrier, and Thai rider Chanan Inta.
21 riders set to do battle here then at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. And the man at the front of these 21 riders is Xavi Cardelus, your race 1 winner. Took his first victory after being in the category since, well, on and off since 2015. So definitely a milestone for the Andorran rider, but definitely we will be expecting hard charges from the likes of Unai Aradre. Alberto Soro was looking racy in race 1 as well. Roberto Garcia as well can challenge. As long as Soro and Garcia can sort out their late race pace, they could very well be there come the checkered flag.
Yeah, Alberto Sura just launched off the line here on this warm-up lap as they flick it right. And
he wants
left.
it.
He is up for it today. I think it may have been a jump start on real lights out, but you can see he's fired into the lead on the warm-up lap. So he will be looking for a strong start as riders. One with Harrison Voigt in the background, who's just taking the long way, scenic route around Barcelona, enjoying some of the sights to behold around this circuit. Alex Toledo then, another contender from the second row. There are, with the absence of ages, it's really opened up the field, and a couple of riders have put their hand up this weekend, namely Xavi Cardelus on pole, victorious in race 1, but then Unai Aradre put in the ride of his seasons to date. Alberto Sura, Roberto Garcia are going to be there as we look into air and track temperature. 33 degrees out there. Thankfully, we're in a lovely air-conditioned room, but in those leathers, that must be torture.
Yeah, no, it definitely will be. The humidity is very intense here in Barcelona. The big question I have looking at the grid is Nico Antonelli starting from second place. Obviously, he can do the lap times. He's done them in qualifying. Will he be able to cling on to these guys in this one?
It is one of the begging questions. He has been on the podium a couple of times this season, but at the same time, in some of the other races we've watched back, Antonelli has had such good qualifying positions, but just then nowhere to be seen.
Seems to lose his head a little bit in the race.
So I think it was in Estoril he put in a superb race to challenge Senna Aegis, but then in the second race of that weekend he was nowhere to be seen. He sunk into mid-pack anonymity, really.
Well, let's see how the story will play out then for race 2. Cardelus is going to be hoping for 25 points. But he's got a plethora of riders behind him who all want to take those 25 points away from him. Cardelus on pole then, Antonelli alongside him, and Unai Aradre with that brilliant race 1 performance, rounding out that front row and got that inside line into turn 1.
Cardelus looking very relaxed. Looking
cool, calm and collected on the grid, and that's exactly how he needs to be. They look to the lights. Race 2 is about to be underway, lights out, and it's another good start from Antonelli, but a very good start from Cardelus as well. A little bit of a wheelie though, and he drops back through the pack. Alberto Sura again comes through from second place on the grid. Toledo looking good as well.
Yeah, superb start from Toledo there as he slots into fourth place.
And Sura. Oof. Antonelli again losing his head in turn 1.
We saw him on the warm-up lap pushing through from the start. And Alberto Sura has just done the exact same thing from lights out. He has pushed into the lead. Cardelus then in second place with Nico Antonelli. Much better start from him, but let's see. Well, he's got Garcia for company now, but Antonelli holds on coming around here.
Sura pulling away a little bit now then on the Boscoscuro machine. He leads ahead of Xavi Cardelus and Nico Antonelli. Antonelli dropping back through the pack again. He's on the inside line. He can push Garcia to the edge of the track, but he doesn't do it. Garcia holds firm around the outside, so Antonelli just needs to be a little bit more aggressive. He's being bullied back through the pack here, which isn't something you'd expect from a Grand Prix level rider.
A Grand Prix race winner, no less.
Yeah. So perhaps losing his head a little bit again in this one, but we don't want to curse him. Let's see what he can do throughout the rest of this race. He's still in contention. Harrison Voigt looking good there, up into P5. Unai Aradre's lost a lot of positions off the line. He did last time round as well.
Like a stone.
Yeah, down to 7th place.
Let's see if he can find that race 1 pace again.
He's going to have to.
Looking at it here, it's a good start from Voigt and Yeray Ruiz from the rows a little further back in the 3rd and 4th row. They're into the top 6. Unai Aradre down into 7th. No jump starts coming up, so there will be no long lap penalties on the way. but it's Alberto Sura who's in control, but not for long. Here comes Xavi Cardaluz. Is he going to get into the slipstream on this kilometre-long straight down into turn 1? This could be a pivotal moment in this race. Sura, we've seen, hasn't had that pace in race 1, and he's going to be overtaken here by Cardaluz. Not just yet. Sura does very well, very late on the brakes to smash the door close in front of the race 1 winner. That's all opened up. Roberto Garcia now on the tail of the front 2.
Antonelli losing a little bit of ground in 4th, and you can see Harrison Voigt on the number 29 eager to get past. Harrison had a good race in race 1, not quite in the podium battle, but now Yari Ruiz slots his way up the inside of him on the number 72 machine with the yellow flashes. Sideways into turn 5 for the number 67, Alberto Sura, a rider who we saw at the world stage last year. Hasn't won yet in Moto2 European Championship, but of course it is his rookie season in this category, jumped up from the Moto3 to the 600cc Moto2, and he's definitely coming on song here. He's going to be ideally using this as a platform to project himself back onto the world stage if he can, as Cardaluz has a look up the inside. Again, Sura late on the brakes. No way through for Cardaluz this time round.
Unai Oradre beginning to make some moves. He's just taken Harrison Voigt. Alex Toledo had an excellent start, but he's dropped back to 8th position. But Unai Oradre now beginning to make some moves. He's back up into 6th. He's going to set his sights on Yeray Ruiz, which is exactly what happened in the last race. So if he can get by the Spaniard, the number 72 just ahead of him, he will be right onto the coattails of Antonelli, who's sticking with this lead group. But it's all about Sura and Cardaluz out front. It's only a matter of time, I think, before Cardaluz manages to make a move stick.
Keep an eye on the progress of Oradre. We know he can fight back through the pack, and we know that he can put in a very fast pace. Sura now leading at the front of this race. He was the fastest man on circuit last time around, but he was equalled by Cardaluz. They both did 45.3s. And equally, Yari Ruiz a 45.3 as well. So the pace at the front, everyone matching each other more or less.
Yeah, Sura looking pretty composed out front.
Ooh, a bit of a moment there for Garcia. Losing a bit of traction on the rear end, something to keep an eye on. Yeah, perhaps just a little bit too eager on the gas this time.
Lengths, I think, now from the guys. As you say that, I didn't quite spot it myself, but we've seen it a couple of times during race 1. Can be a little bit, and another one there. He's stood up a bit, but Antonelli now has dropped back, and Yeray Ruiz is up into 4th position. But Sura looking pretty composed out front as things stands. Xavi Cardaluz, it looks like he may have the pace, but he will need to bide his time to get out in front.
Sura then doing a good defensive ride here. It'll be interesting to see what the lap times are this time around. You can see Unai Oradre, the number 10, the white bike with blue fasces with the yellow background. The number 10 trying to make his way through. Here's a little look at Tapia and the number 35 of Sam Wilford. These guys battling it out a little bit further back for 10th place, ahead of Björn Kursky. Rider very familiar with the Moto2 European Championship, also had a few dips over at the World Series as well. And now Sam Wilford looking strong, but here it is, that battle out the front. Is Cardaluz going to make a move now? He pulls alongside Sura, but Sura pushes him towards the outside of the circuit, and no way through this time round for Cardaluz. It's still as you were.
Antonelli leaving,
falling into the clutches now.
There, yeah. So we've got Antonelli just behind Yeray Ruiz. Roberto Garcia looks, as things stand, comfortable in 3rd, but Ruiz has got some good pace. Last lap, a 1:45.137, the fastest man on circuit. So a pretty encouraging sign for the FAU 55 TEY racing rider as he sets his sights on Roberto Garcia and another podium. Cardaluz then just taking a good look at that Bosco-Scuro machine. That is Alberto Sura's just ahead of him. He's going to line up, I should say, rather, his strong points, his weak points, and know when the best time to strike will be over the coming laps.
Now, one thing to bear in mind as well, with Yari Ruiz and Roberto Garcia on the move in 3rd and 4th, if these two start scrapping at the front, if Cardelus makes his way through and these two start scrapping, they'll start falling into the clutches of the riders behind. Like you can see, they're already making inroads on them. Garcia getting closer and closer to these front two. So it'll be interesting to see what the lap times will be this time around. Alberto Sura controlling the race from the front, and it's still as you were, yet to see a move being made, but it's a battle of attrition at the moment, and it's going to be who blinks first. We know how good Cardelus is down into turn one. Is he going to make it stick this time around? He's in the slipstream. He's looking towards the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Are we going to see a change for the lead? He's on the inside, yes, and he makes that move stick. What will we see now? Will Cardelus pull away from Sura? He's a little bit wide through there. Sura pulls it back. What will we see now?
Yeah, Cardelus, no surprise that's come at turn one. He's been so strong there all day. What has Sura now got in his back pocket? Has he got an answer for the Andorran? Cardelus, though, is lapping pretty similar times to Sura, not much between, just a few hundreds, and they're still a bit quicker than what's happening. But Unai Oradre, sound the cue to Jaws music. Look at the number 10. He's battered his way past Nico Antonelli. Yeray Ruiz is within sight. Ruiz also putting in a good pace. Both of them about 4 tenths quicker than Roberto Garcia. So it could just be a matter of time before we see Garcia.
Oh, and Sam Wilford's gone
Wilford
down.
Is down at turn 5.
Unfortunate for the Brit.
He was having another fine ride, a super ride this morning. Unfortunately, race 2 has come to an early end for the number 35.
Not the way he wanted to
Unai
end the weekend. And Oradre
wasting no time on Yeray Ruiz at all.
Oh, he sits him up.
Between the two. Ruiz comes in with a strong response there. It's probably some residual effect after race 1 overtake. And Ruiz is saying to Oradre, you can try again, but you're not having it your own way here, buddy.
Lost a little bit of time with that exchange, but it was definitely entertaining. Ruiz not having any of it. He knows Oradre's strong, but he's just showing he's just as strong on that number 72 machine. Right then, is anyone going to challenge Cardelus as they head down into turn 1? Sura's got the inside line, but Cardelus very, very strong on the brakes. Garcia looking menacing as well now.
Yeah, I think Oradre has, after picking off, he has just into turn 1, he got ahead of him on that right-hander and later on the brakes. So Unai Oradre has picked off Yeray Ruiz. Does Oradre have the pace to go with the lead guys? Well, Roberto Garcia, I was saying that he was a little bit slower than the guys behind him. He's responded in kind. Fastest rider on track last time out, but Oradre is gaining on him. Alberto Sura just having a little look up the inside of Cardelus, but just too far away to make any real move.
Right then, Oradre's on the move. He's caught up with Roberto Garcia now, so very soon these guys will be pretty much locked together, and we pretty much already do have, a 5-rider battle for the lead. There's a little bit of breathing space between them. They're slightly stretched out, but not anymore. Look at Unai Oradre. He's all over the rear wheel of Garcia. He has a look to the inside. Will the number 10 make it stick? He's up the inside. Will he run wide now? Garcia cuts to the inside and pushes him wide again, and that's going to let Ruiz through. No, not this time.
Well, Oradre
need a second invitation.
Belted around the circuit here in Barcelona. That's the second time contact has been made after he attempted an overtake. Just last lap, Yeray Ruiz had the same response. Roberto Garcia says, you're not getting past me so easily. But Unai Oradre is on a march here. He wants to get onto that podium place as quick as possible, and he might just, if he keeps this pace up, he might just be able to reel in the front two. It looks like Sura might be trying a little move on Cardelus at some stage. And Oradre,
yeah, Cardelus, Sura in the lead.
He's gone around the outside of him there as well. Very impressive stuff from the Italian.
Yep. Judging it to perfection then, the number 67. Now's the time to hit the front. He's making sure Cardelus knows he's there. And these two pulling away a little bit after those exchanges between Garcia, Oradre and Ruiz. Those guys battling it out. Oradre now up the inside of the number 31. Garcia now. Garcia, oh no, I was about to say, if he's clever, he'll sit on the back of him so that they can catch the front two. But now Oradre giving it as good as he's getting.
Again. This is a cracking battle for third place between Oradre and Roberto Garcia. Oh, they're just running side by side here. It's super stuff. Given it as good as you get, as they say. Roberto Garcia was on the podium last time. Oradre made his podium debut today. They both want a second one, and they're not going down without a fight. But as you said, all this is playing into the hands of the front two riders, Cardelus and Sura. But Oradre now looks to have opened up a little bit of a gap to Garcia behind him, and a little bit of an advantage he can set about getting Cardelus out in front.
Yep, you wouldn't put it past Oradre to catch the leading two. Sura's put the hammer down a little bit at the front. He's got a tiny bit of breathing space over Cardelus, and now here's that move again. Oradre to the inside. This is with Yari Ruiz. That's where Ruiz stood him up. There was a little bit, the door was slightly open, and Ruiz went straight for it. Like we said, giving as good as he's getting. And this is the battle then between Garcia and Oradre. Those guys swapping positions. Now Oradre pulling in the guys in front. He was a couple of tenths quicker than Cardelus on that last lap, but now he's got free space and a complete free lap. We'll see what he's able to do on that number 10 machine. Oradre, very strong rider over in the Supersport 300 categories, picked up wins and podiums over there. Then spent a bit of life over in World Supersport, the support category to the World Superbike class. And now, again, on 600cc machinery, but in the Moto2 category, and really coming into his own in this category. Looking really strong on that Calex machine. But it's the Boscoscuro machine that still leads. Alberto Sura putting in the race of his life so far, keeping Cardelus honest. But now Oradre, you can visibly see, is closing in these front two. So we will see, at the very least, a three-rider scrap for victory here in the European Moto2 Championship. Don't discount Garcia, don't discount Ruiz. Those two could very well still be in the mix in this battle, as well as they are going with the number 10 of Unai Oradre.
Yeah, Garcia just seems to be lapping a little slower at the moment. He was in the 146, flat 146, while all those around him are in the 145s. So he's just that little bit
He's got
slower.
That carrot dangled, though.
Yeri Ruiz is on his tail. I think it could just be a matter of time before Ruiz sees an opportunity. A little further back then, we're looking at Ratto and Antonelli, and once again, Antonelli
just dropping back a little bit. Slightly better than it is an improvement on his race one. Now, are we going to see a change for the lead here? Cardelus pulls alongside Sura. Sura's late on the brakes. Too late for Cardelus this time around, and that's saying something because we know how good Cardelus is into turn one. We saw in race one him make that past both Garcia and Sura to take the lead. Couldn't get through on Sura this time around, though. Perhaps just keeping his cards close to his chest, although that card has already been played. Right then, looking at the lap times on that last lap, Oradre, again, a couple of tenths quicker than the riders in front of him.
Yeah, and Roberto Garcia, once again, I point out, he's doing one slow, one fast. He's the fastest rider around that time, a 1:45.230. Just a little bit quicker than Unai Oradre out front, but he had a tenth to spare over Yeri Ruiz, so he can have a response when it is very much needed. He's felt the pressure of Ruiz a little bit, but Garcia
it's a lot easier to do those lap times when you've got that carrot dangled in front of you, when you can follow, especially when Oradre is going so quickly, when you're able to just follow his lines, and it's so much easier to follow than it is to lead, and that's obviously being shown here with these guys as they're catching the front guys, and now Oradre is in the mix.
Yeah, too right, Oradre. Great reference for Garcia, and as a result might actually drag riders 4 and 5, Garcia and Ruiz, back into the podium battle here. But Oradre is flying it around this circuit, and Cardelus might just have a problem. It's a repeat of race one, a battle between Cardelus and Oradre, but this time for second rather than the lead.
Oradre now he's on the back of Cardelus. How long until we see a move? We know that he's feisty. We know that he's going to want a taste of the champagne once again. He's in podium position now. Antonelli now has dropped down the order as he crashed out.
He's gone down at turn 12, it would seem, or he's gone into the gravel according to our live timing screens, as we can see his name dropping down. And that's just another disaster for Antonelli. He's a rider of such promise, a Grand Prix race winner no less, as Cardelus has a little look up there, but he's got Oradre for company. But
he'll have seen on his pit board.
Another crash. And yeah, he has stopped. So he has dropped down to timing screens, and that seems to be the end of Antonelli's day.
Cardelus will be informed that Oradre is now with the group, and all there is Antonelli coming into the pits then, so some sort of issue for the Italian, possibly some technical gremlins hindering him from the crash this morning. We're not 100% sure what happened there. Don't know if it doesn't look like he's gone down. Right then, Cardelus, like we've just said, will know that Oradre is now all over his rear wheel, and he will be eager to see if he can get past Alberto Sura. He has a little look at the inside at turn 10. Can't make it stick this time round though. Sura, again, very, very strong on the brakes. Oradre up the inside. The door was open and he went for it, but Cardelus! That's a big moment there. I had to take a breath there. I thought they were both going down.
Oh, this is a disaster for Cardelus in the blink of an eye. He's gone from second all the way down to 5th position. Oh my goodness, Cardelus, that's a disaster. Hopes of taking the maximum points or even 45 points and catching Senna Aegis or narrowing the gap to Senna Aegis are up in smoke at the moment, and he's got it all to do now over the remaining 6 laps. And Unai Oradre, here he comes. Is he going to do it? No. Sura a little later on the brakes there. Oradre just having a little peek on the inside.
Here we have a look at it. The rear just steps out on him. So lucky not to tag the back of the number 10, Unai Oradre. Was so close to his rear wheel, was trying to get up the inside, was no space there, perhaps a little bit too much front brake. All the weight goes to the front, which makes the rear step out. Luckily, they got away with that one.
Yeah, he did well to keep himself mounted on that machine. Oh, very heart-in-mouth moment. There's another little moment coming through there. Yeray Ruiz. Oh, Ruiz!
Both of them have gone down.
Ruiz has taken out Roberto Garcia in front of him at turn 5, and suddenly Cardelus is back on the podium places. What absolute disaster. He saw the move there, and Unai Oradre now going to try and move up the inside, runs onto the green. It looks like both are okay. It's good to see that. No hard feelings, but that's going to take a little bit of time to get over for
Let's have
Roberto
a look what
Garcia.
Here, then. So Ruiz has a look to the inside, just too much front brake, tucks the front, and unfortunately nowhere for Garcia to go, and he takes him out, and that's helped Cardelus, but really unfortunate end to their race. Now Cardelus will be rubbing his hands together at the sight of Clear's track in front of him now, but he's going to have to put the hammer down to catch these two at the front, because Oradre now has taken the lead. We missed that one.
But Oradre is very much pushing it here, and he's on the green again, as is Cardelus. Oradre may have a track limits warning coming his way, because I think I've counted at least 2 over the last couple of laps and may have missed a couple others.
Sura around the outside.
Sura brilliant again into turn 1. And Cardelus was just under a second behind these two coming through the final sector. He's narrowed that gap down to 7/10, so he's got some pace to burn with 5 laps to go. This victory fight is far from done, and Cardelus may yet still stand on the top step of the podium here in Barcelona.
5 laps remaining then. Cardelus a couple of tenths quicker than the leaders on that last lap. But what can he do about these front two? Will he be able to catch them? He's got about 4.5 laps to be able to do it. Oradre, though, eager for victory. Sura eager for victory. Cardelus has already taken his first victory. Will we see another rider take their first victory in the Moto2 European Championship? Will it go the way of Sura? Will it go the way of Oradre? Or will the veteran Cardelus stamp his authority on Moto2 once again? I know Senna Aegis will be hoping that he can't. Now then, Oradre having a look up the inside. Is he going to make a move at turn 10? Sura again late on the brakes. Difficult to make a move on the Italian. Now Cardelus does look like he's making inroads. We'll check the numbers, we'll check the lap times next time across the line, but it does look like he's making some progression there.
Yeah, I think he's got it down to 6/10 at the moment, so he is progressing. That's about 3.5 tenths better position than he was 1 lap ago. And now for the dangling leg from Oradre, can be a little bit misconceiving. It looks like he may have lost, but he loves to dangle that leg, particularly around the right-handers. But Sura now, will he hold on to the lead coming into turn 1? Will he be late on the brakes? It looks like he's good enough and will hold on to the lead. But Cardelus again is down to within 0.5 tenth.
Interesting to see how on the change of direction there, Oradre gets his foot quickly back onto the peg so he can put all the weight through it. And you can see just him using a little bit of back brake there as well. So, Sura doing a defensive ride here. You can see him just trying to make sure there's no way through there. Good ride here for the number 13, Mattia Ratto.
He's in a world of his own in 4th place at the moment. So all he has to do, keep it clean, keep it tidy, and he's on for an excellent point scoring finish. Out front though, still plenty of legs left in this race. Unai Oradre has been eyeing this up, and look, here comes Xavi Cardeluz. Absolutely nothing in it now. Any mistake from the front will see Cardeluz pounce. So Sura still leads, the number 67 ahead of Unai Oradre. Cardeluz won his first race in this category this morning. Oradre and Sura both been on the podium.
Here comes Oradre then up the inside at turn 10. Will he make it stick? Cardeluz trying as well. Just caught out a little bit there.
So Oradre now on for his first win in this category. Sura also searching for that first win. Cardeluz for a second to bring him to within 11 points of the absent Senna Ages. But Oradre is having a field of a time down here in Barcelona.
Now, what can Oradre do? We saw in race 1 that Alberto Sura wasn't able to cling on to the pace of the front 2 in the closing stages of the race. He's right with them this time, though, but it looks as if Oradre is starting to edge out a bit of a gap. He's got a tiny bit of breathing space. We've seen the Bosca very, very quick in a straight line. But it's Cardeluz this time.
Up the inside.
Not quite this time around, a little bit too far back this time round. But possibly next lap, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it happen. Right then, can Oradre break them? Doesn't look like it. Sura very, very strong through this first sector. And he's just reeled in Oradre once again. Cardeluz just on the edge of track limits there. Not quite sure if he ventured out of track bounds, but very, very close to it. And that'll be something to keep an eye on. We did see a change of positions in JuniorGP earlier on. We won't spoil the results though. Right then, Oradre. Can he cling on? He didn't finish inside the top 8 before this weekend. Picked up P2 in the first race. Can he go one better this time around? 2.5 laps remaining. Who's going to take it? Will it be Oradre? Will it be Sura? Or will it be Cardeluz once again?
Once again, running it very close to track limits, Oradre, but you can see it's wobbling around, all fine and clean through there. But Oradre is looking very, very good here. Fastest of the 3 of these riders on that last lap was Cardeluz, but not by much. Oradre out front, the second fastest, both in the 145s. 146 though for Alberto Sura, so he lost quite a bit of time in that. We mentioned it, you mentioned it earlier, Tristan, his late race pace. We saw it suffer a little bit in race 1. Is that going to come into play here again? Well, with the battle being so close, you'd imagine that he can stick with Oradre out front, or is Cardeluz seeing him lose pace? Because look at that gap now coming over the line.
He just loses. Lap times are the same, they're all 145.7s, but Sura making up all his time in the first couple of sectors and just loses out in the final 2. So the Bosca Sura clearly working well through these first 2 sectors. You can see now he will reel in Oradre once again, and he does. Cardeluz, though, is going to need to try and find a way past Sura before Sura loses time in that final sector. You can see Cardeluz running a little bit wide there, perhaps struggling a little bit with traction. He would have had to put the hammer down to catch these guys, so is grip going to play a part for Cardeluz? Trying to turn it tight there, turns it tight and gets the power down, so it doesn't look like he's struggling for grip. Oradre goes defensive, and that allows Sura to get back onto the back of him. Sura then, will he make a move before that final sector where he seems to lose a little bit of time? Sura over the rear wheel of Oradre. Is he going to make a move down into turn 10? That'll be the next passing opportunity. He's going to need a good run through here through turn 9, down the back straight. Cardeluz is a little bit too far back at the moment, but provided he's got the slipstream, it could be possible. I think they're all a little bit too far at the moment. Right then, the penultimate lap coming towards a close, and then it'll be last lap time as it stands. Cardeluz will be 20 points behind Agius. If he can win this one, it'll be 11.
Yeah, Cardeluz needs to get the hammer down a little bit here because there is not long left to go, and it looks like it's going to be a shootout between Oradre and Sura. Cardeluz has done very well to get onto the rear back into the top 3, I should say, as a consequence as well of that crash between Garcia and Ruiz. And he has roped them in from a second out, but he really needs to get the hammer down as we begin the last lap here in the Moto2 European Championship in Barcelona.
Last lap time then, which way is it going to go? Sura makes a move down into turn 1. We knew it was coming. Will Oradre have a response? We know that he can make a move down into turn 5. Didn't make it stick last time around. The team watch on with bated breath. Is Cardelus out of it? He's trailing a little bit, but could possibly still be in this one. Is Oradre going to bite back? Sura goes defensive down into turn 4. The next passing opportunities down into turn 5. Oradre's all over his rear wheel. Is he going to make it stick? He's eyeing it up. Is he going to do it? Not this time. All right, we've got one more passing opportunity down into turn 10, unless he can magic something up special on this final lap.
Should a battle commence between the top 2, Cardelus is there waiting patiently.
Important to remember.
To get in through. The P2 even would be an excellent result for the Andorran, but it is Sura who is in control as we speak at the moment, coming down now, run downhill, final sector, and he's wobbling all over the place. Here we go now. Defensive. Is there a move coming?
Oradre goes to the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Very tight for Oradre. Is he going to run wide? Sura's going to get the cutback. There's no room through there, but he does it anyway. No, he doesn't. Beautiful defensive move from the number 10. Contact through there, and what a move for Unai Oradre. He's into the lead, and is he going to make it stick? Can Sura do a Valentino Rossi into the final corner?
He's
made a moment. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be a drag to the line? Sura goes wide, tries to get the late apex. We know the Boscascura is fast in a straight line, but it is Unai Oradre who takes his first win in the Moto2 European Championship. Alberto Sura takes second, and Cardelus third and first. I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris.
Take a rest, because that was breathless stuff. Unai Oradre, where has this come from? He has been improving all year, but he has turned such a corner this weekend. And starting on that front row, he has made it count. P2 earlier today, he's gone one better. He's done it at turn 10. Doing Alberto Sura at the well-renowned turn 10, and Sura just had no response going through those final 4 corners. They always say if you're leading coming out of turn 10, you're on for the win. He timed it to perfection. Cardelus, a little bit unfortunate maybe that he didn't get his chance. He got caught up in the crash, but that did hand him the podium place. And it's been a very successful day for the Andorran rider. But race 2, it's all about the number 10 we see on screen here.
What more can you ask for in racing? What more can you ask for in the Moto2 European Championship? An incredible, incredible final lap there. Sura gave it absolutely everything he could, tried to get the cut back, but unfortunately there was just no room through. He was there in case the door was open, but Oradre kept the door firmly, firmly closed. Unfortunate for Cardelus, after that moment earlier on in the race, he dropped down the order, and then that crash between Garcia and Toledo let Cardelus free, and he managed to cling on to the back of these guys, but didn't find a way through. But first place and a third place, he's now got 20 points in between him and Senagius, who leads. So he's done himself a world of good this weekend with first and third. He was 61 points going into this weekend that he had to Agius in front, and now the gap's only 20 points. Unai Oradre, though, an incredible victory. The rookie of the class, hadn't finished higher than 8th before this weekend, and now not only is he a Moto2 European Championship race winner, he's also got a podium in race 2. He picked up the podium in that race 1, and now he is a Moto2 European Championship race winner. An incredible ride for the number 10. Incredible, incredible ride as well for Alberto Sura, who clung on right until the end, but had it snatched away from Unai Oradre. Before this weekend, Oradre had only finished inside the top 10 once. Could this be the turning point for the Spaniard? Raced in World Supersport last year. Wasn't his first front row, so we were wondering if he was going to be able to have the pace in the race, but he's proved to us that he definitely does, and he comes in. A historic moment for him, a moment he will never forget, and he comes in to take victory to the delight of his team. Let's have a little listen to these celebrations. Well, they're happy with that one. And so they should be. Unai Oradre for the STV Laglish Racing team takes victory in Barcelona. No Sono Agius this weekend. He looked watched on from the sidelines, but what action we've had in the Moto2 European Championship. Incredible stuff. He was in the mood, and he got it done. He knows how to race. He's raced in the Supersport 300 category before, and he's definitely learned how to overtake in that one. And he's put those skills to good use here in the Moto2 European Championship. We will hear from him in a little bit. Chris Jordan has headed down to Parc Fermé and will be getting the first reaction from Oradre. Alberto Sora then, slightly dismayed with second place, but can definitely be proud of that one. Put in a solid run and was there to pick up the pieces. Unfortunately, though, there were no pieces to be picked up as Unai Oradre left no stone unturned at the end of that race. Cardelus, third place, will be slightly disappointed with that one after taking the win in the first one. That moment halfway through the race, though, it could have been curtains for him. He could have finished the race in the gravel trap. So 16 points is what he should be happy with taking. Here's the move between Alberto Sura and Unai Oradre a little bit earlier on in the race. Sura very strong on the brakes into the first corner. Sura went defensive, but Oradre was trying to find his way through, and he did so with perfection. Went very tight. We thought he was going to run wide, but he didn't. He got it stopped. Sura tried to make his way through, but Oradre hung it round the outside, and he took victory, and an incredible victory it was for the number 10. Incredible scenes for Unai Oradre as he takes his first victory. We're going to hear from him now. He's down there with Chris Jordan.
Thanks, Tristan. Unai, a special moment for you. First ever Moto2 European Championship win, and what a way to do it. Tell us, what was going through your mind as you made that turn 10 last lap?
It was a very difficult race after the first one this morning, but I know that we have pace, we have reason to fight for the victory, and this victory for me is special. In my first year here, I changed a lot of this year. I fight a lot to be here, and I'm super happy. I say thanks to all my sponsors, to my team, and see you in the next one.
Ahora en español, porfa.
Sí, eso ha sido una carrera muy difícil, hacía mucha calor y después de la primera carrera ya estábamos todos un poco fatigados, pero bueno, sabía que tenía ritmo durante todo el fin de semana, sabía que podía luchar por la victoria y así ha sido. Al final en la última curva, en la última vuelta me la jugó la curva 10 y la victoria es para nosotros. Ahora solo toca seguir trabajando en el verano y nos vemos en la siguiente.
Felicidades.
Here's how it went down then in race 2 for the Moto2 European Championship. It was Cardelus that started on pole, but it didn't get the whole shot down into turn 1 as the number 23 of Nico Antonelli shot up the inside, but Alberto Sura it was that snatched the race lead away from his fellow Italian. The laps ticked away, and Sura it was that led out the front, coming under threat from Cardelus. Cardelus made some impressive moves down at turn 1. And Alberto Sura a bit straight back later on in the race. Unai Oradre was making moves, and he went on to win the race for the end. This big moment between him and Yair Ruiz happened, and there were some wild rushes through that turn 10 throughout the duration of the race. Cardelus then led the race as the laps ticked away. Meanwhile, Oradre was on the move as he made his way up the inside of Garcia. Garcia big straight back at him, sitting up the Spaniard. Once again, then this moment for Cardelus, nearly wiping out Oradre, nearly finding himself in the gravel trap, managed to rejoin. And then, unfortunately, this moment happened between Ruiz and Garcia. Ruiz went up the inside, took the front, took Garcia with him into the gravel trap, and this freed Xavi Cardelus to be able to catch these front two. The moves being made out the front, though, as Oradre made a move on Sura for the lead. Sura kept himself in Oradre's wheel tracks as the race went on and these guys swapped positions. Oradre then kept Alberto Sura honest as the laps ticked away. Cardelus did manage to get onto the back of these guys, but didn't manage to make a break. Sura led into the final lap, and then this move from Oradre brought in the lead as the laps ticked away once again. Sura a bit back though on the number 67 machine. Into turn one, was very, very strong into the first couple of corners. Very strong on the brakes on the Boscoscuro machine. A little bit leery on the power for the Boscoscuro. And then this moment down into the final lap at turn 10. Sura tried to make his way back through, but couldn't quite do it. There was no room for error, no stone left unturned for Unai Oradre, and he held it to the flag. Sura tried to get a wide line down into the final corner to get the drive, but it was Oradre that took victory in Moto2. Sura took second, with Cardelus taking important third place, but Unai Oradre takes his first victory in the Moto2 European Championship.
European Championship de Moto 2, equipo vencedor, STV Laglis Racing. Aplausos ahí para Jaime Fernández Avilés, el responsable del equipo que va a recoger el premio. Tercera posición que está ganando el Porsche, avanza la primera.
Here's Cardelus looking a little bit dismayed with that third place, but he makes it out onto the podium. The Andorran, who took victory in the first race, was forced to settle for third place in that one after that moment. Sura looks delighted with second place, could have been a victory, but this man who's about to walk onto the top step of the podium was just too good today. Dropped back in the pack off the line, but it didn't mean anything as he fought his way back through the pack to take victory in a brilliant last lap scrap with Alberto Sura. Incredible action here in the Moto2 European Championship as the managing director of the circuit, Barcelona, Catalunya, hands out the trophies of the team representative for the SVG Laglis Racing team. Alberto Sura as well sat there in second, but Cardelus taking that third place. Doesn't look happy with that one, but he went into the weekend 61 points adrift of Senna Agius. Now it's only 20. So with the next round at Aragon in October, he'll be looking to try and capitalise, and Senna Agius will be looking to try and reel those points, try and put that, to extend that advantage back out. Lukas Tulovic, the Moto2 World Championship rider and former world champion here, sorry, European champion here in the Moto2 category, hands the trophy to the race winner, Unai Oradre. Now we'll have the Spanish national anthem.
Que levanten las manos. ¿Dónde están los de La Rioja? ¿Dónde están? Venga ahí, lo vamos a celebrar con el Prosecco. Vamos a remojarlo. Venga, suave. Ese es el podium de Moto2.
Celebrations from the top three then, after what was a barnstorming race two to close the weekend for the Moto2 European Championship. Incredible to see Unai Oradre take that victory. Here are the results then, confirmed on your screens. Oradre is a European Moto2 race winner ahead of Alberto Sura and Xavi Cardelus. Mattia Rato finished fourth with Alex Toledo rounding out the top five. Harrison Voigt picked up P6 ahead of Björn Szykerski, Gerard Rio and Marco Tapia rounding out the top 9 in race 2 here in Barcelona. Rounding out the top 10 was Matteo Volpi ahead of his fellow Italian Francesco Mongiardo. Kyle Paz was 12th ahead of Rehacik, Charles Aubrey and Channon Inter rounding out the finishes and rounding out the points in 15th place. Unfortunately, Roberto Garcia and Yari Ruiz didn't finish. Nicola Antonelli had to pull into the pits with 7 laps remaining. Montenero, Toth as well also didn't finish this race. Here's the damage to the championship then. Despite not racing this weekend, Senna Agius still sits at the top of the championship by 20 points ahead of Xavi Cardelus and Alberto Sura, who's 43 points adrift, equal on points with his fellow Italian Matteo Ratto. Ruiz rounds out the top 5 in the championship ahead of Toledo, Garcia, Carlos Tatai, who is out injured as well, and Unai Arajay bumping himself up to 9th place. Tapia rounds out the top 10, 91 points adrift ahead of Sam Wilford, who didn't finish in that race, 96 adrift of the leader. Antonelli, Gerard Rio, Matteo Volpi and Harrison Voigt round out the top 15 in the championship ahead of Piotr Bishakurski. Johan Rodriguez is 18th in championship ahead of Karl Paz, Vujicic, Toth, Rejcek, Inter, Aubrey and Montenero rounding out the top 25. Montenero with a single point on his 2023 European Championship campaign. Incredible scenes then in the European Championship in the Moto 2 category. A barn-storming race and damage done in the championship. The next round will be at Aragon in October, where Senna Agius will return and will be looking to rack up as many points as he can on this 2023 Moto 2 European Championship campaign. Unai Arajay it was, though, that took the victory in incredible fashion. He deserved it. He put everything out there on the line and, as we said, left no stone unturned. It was an incredible victory for Unai Arajay.